reason why they look for Mass Maritime people is because if you tell them to be 0730 at this building, they're there at 0715 ready to go.
This is Facility Rockstars, the podcast that celebrates the unsung heroes of our daily lives, facility professionals. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. Join me as we honor these great leaders, sharing stories, insights, and expertise that empower us all to learn and grow together. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Coludus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Welcome back to Facility Rockstars and our special series with Massachusetts Maritime Academy. This is our third installment in the series, and so far we've heard directly from the cadets about what it's like to step into a regimental environment, take on responsibility early, and begin building the foundation of their careers. Last week I had the privilege of talking with two faculty members. Today, we're airing our second episode featuring faculty and leadership with Allen Metcalfe, Dr. John Bausch, and Katie McClellan. These are the people behind the scenes who are shaping the academic rigor, the hands-on training, and the leadership mindset that defines the Mass Maritime experience. From facilities and operations to engineering and instruction, these leaders offer a powerful perspective on how cadets are developed, challenged, and prepared for the real world. This conversation is about more than classrooms and credentials. It's about intentional leadership, continuous investment, and what it truly takes to build the next generation of facility rock stars. Let's jump in. Today's guest brings a remarkable combination of military service, engineering expertise, and decades of leadership across the facilities and operations world. With more than 35 years of experience, he has led large-scale construction projects, facilities maintenance teams, marine operations, business development initiatives, and critical building services across both the public and private sectors. Before entering the civilian sector, he served with distinction in the United States Navy as an F-14 Tomcat Raider intercept officer flying carrier-based combat missions during Operation Desert Storm. His career spans senior roles with organizations like Able Services, F.E. Moran Fire Protection, Equity Office, and Service Master, each shaping his reputation as a trusted, versatile, and highly respected operations leader. He currently serves as the Vice President of Operations at Massachusetts Maritime Academy. Allen Metcalfe, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jay.
Good to see you again.
And you, sir.
Thank you for taking the time, and thank you for your service.
I appreciate it. No problem.
So, Allen, you know, we've interviewed the cadets, and now really wanted to get into discussion with you as part of the leadership team at Mass Maritime,
Sure.
and get your perspective on the journey of a cadet, why Mass Maritime, and et cetera. So let me ask you this: what drew you to Mass Maritime? We've talked a little bit about it, but can you walk us through why did you find this was where you wanted to be at this point?
Couple things. Number one, most of my family came from here. So my dad, his two cousins, three cousins. One was an instructor, trainer. Younger cousins, and all the family members came through here, marine engineering. I knew I wanted to go fly for the Navy, and I knew this was historical. So 2 and 2 together, great opportunity. Never doubted it, and it was wonderful to come here.
Awesome. Now, I know some of your responsibilities you've been kind enough to share since we've known each other, but could you kind of walk us through, like, what is your role, your contribution, your day-to-day, week-to-week at the Academy?
Sure. First of all, I lead a fantastic team. I have 4 different departments that report to me: operations and maintenance, campus police, marine department that handles the small boats and everything along the wharf, as well as EHS and sustainability, team member that leads that one. So we do everything. We don't teach, but we do everything behind the scenes like most facility rock stars do. It's gratifying to see what is done with these people.
It's great to hear. I mean, and you're very humble in, what you've done. I've seen the long list of accomplishments here, and you were kind enough to bring me down to the new pier project.
Yep. Sure. Came aboard in 2020. Since then, we haven't stopped. We've done everything from rehab all of the dormitories. We're finishing up the last one this summer. As you mentioned, we put in the new pier for the new training ship. That was a really involved process. That's going to continue with subsequent projects based on that one. So we're going to be moving the aquaculture lab that was over by the pier. That still remains to be done. The floating pier needs to be adjusted, a little bit more dredging. So finishing up on that over the next year or so. We built the Maritime Conference Center, a 30,000 square foot conference center slash residential area on the corner of the campus. We're building the new Marinakis Hall, the STEM building, 40,000 square feet. It's just stunning. To support that, we're putting in a new geothermal well system, 252 wells, 500 feet deep, that will provide heating and cooling not only for STEM and Kelly Power Plant, the building that we utilize for some of the additional work, as well as Harrington. That will be done this summer, and then we'll have capacity for future opportunities to turn over to geothermal. Lots of things going on. We're looking at a new facilities garage that will be ground broken in a couple months. We're looking to put a new Hewitt, which is exciting, new Hewitt system. That's a helicopter underwater escape trainer into the pool. That starts next month.
Wow.
Love to have
Wow.
you down here, Jay. You'd really like that one.
Oh, I'll come back for that. Absolutely.
And just continuous improvements across the campus. So it's busy day to day.
That it certainly sounds that way. And you were kind enough to walk me around for a few hours the day I was there about a few months ago. And I saw much of what you just walked us through. And the STEM building, I'm sure now it looks totally different.
Sure, would love to have you come on back down, but it's tight now for the weather, and we're beginning to outfit the interior. So looking to open it up right before Labor Day of this year.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Major contributions. And I think what I'm hearing, Alan, is there's a constant reinvestment into the facilities, into the academy, and really ultimately into the experience for the cadets.
It is. And that's what we want to do to ensure that we're continuously on the cutting edge to provide the best opportunity for our cadets. Things are changing out in the workforce, as you know, not just in facilities, but everywhere else. And for us to continually be able to provide those resources to help the cadets on their way is our prime goal.
That kind of leads me into, the next part of our discussion, Alan, and that's how would you explain, or maybe you really kind of started doing so already, but how would you explain the distinction and uniqueness of MMA versus another academy or higher ed institution?
Sure. Actually, I haven't had a wonderful opportunity to be on both sides of that. When I worked for Service Master, one of my jobs is to set up internships and recruiting for facility engineers. It was a pilot program that we started off. I worked with Mass Maritime and a couple other maritime academies, but Mass always stood out, not just because I went here to the academy, but just the quality and the caliber of the cadets that come in. We have a learn, do, lead program here, mantra. You learn in the classroom. You do what you learn in the classroom out on experiential learning or out on C-term or internships and co-ops, and you lead. What separates us, to answer your question, that I found out not only being a cadet and coming back and working here, but also as a recruiter, what separates the academy is the regimental lifestyle. The leadership lab, it is called down here. You start off as a freshman and you're learning all about how to follow. So you're basic. And the further and further you get into the academy, sophomore, junior, you're given more and more opportunities for leadership. By the time you are done in your senior year, you've had more opportunities for leadership than anybody else coming out of a 4-year degree program. It's pretty impressive. Admiral Gernon, who was Commandant of Cadets when I was here, and he was president before President McDonald, used to say and tout the reason why they look for Mass Maritime people is because if you tell them to be 0730 at this building, they're there at 0715 ready to go.
It's very impressive. I love it continues to come up in conversations, learn, do, lead. What a great framework. Like it really, and I've mentioned this on other interviews, but really when I met with the cadets, it was such a privilege because they would explain, I was a shy kid when I came here and now, I'm leading this or doing this or accomplishing this. And they're living exactly what that framework is. It's very impressive to see and to experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be more proud of the cadets when they come out here. And you get an opportunity to see them when they're coming in and as they develop and mature into their roles. It's pretty outstanding.
Yeah, that's amazing. What else could you share about uniqueness, Allen, with the Academy? Because, it's really, what we're building here, as you know, what the show is future facility rock stars. Like the product of what's happening down there, a part of the product anyway.
Sure. Job fairs sums it up. You come down here for job fairs that we have both in the fall and in the spring. And there's 300 or so companies that come in and fighting for the graduates. And that's not just because, hey, let's go to Mass Maritime. It's because of the continuous development, the continuous reputation of previous cadets that have gone into the workforce that have done so well. And then the new ones, internships. As you come out into the industry, whatever it may be, whatever your major may be, but developing those relationships, the support staff that helps sets that up in career services, fantastic. We are geared to provide the cadet the best opportunity and the employer the best product possible. It's our reputation. So we work very hard to help mold the cadet going into the job, but at the same time, we're getting feedback from the employer of what else they're looking for, so we can help develop our programs even tighter.
I love that aspect right there. Two things you said. It's our reputation, which is huge for anyone or any institution, and then the employers come back. You get that feedback loop from employers, right? What are they looking for? That's real. That's real world right there.
If you look at it, and I understand that academics is forefront for developing the education part, but I can honestly say every division on this campus is geared towards providing the best opportunity for the cadets, whether it's operations where we take care of the buildings as all facility managers do out in the other world, whether it's medical, that's making sure the kids are up to, feeling good as possible, whether it's Chartwell's providing great food and the commandant's office just taking care of everything they need to take care of, to the executive team. Everybody has that mantra in the back of their head. What's the best we can do?
That's pretty powerful right there.
It is. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come back to work here. And it was wonderful that I had the opportunity and just so thankful that I had the chance to come back.
That's awesome. That sums it up right there. Allen, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for the re-invite. I loved the time that we spent together down there. And if you'll have me again, I will definitely.
Anytime, Jay, you're more than welcome to.
Awesome. Allen, how would people get in touch with you? I'm sure they'll have questions beyond, all the listeners we have here. How would you ask them to reach out?
Sure. They can reach me through email, and it's Metcalfe with an E on the end. So Metcalfe@maritime.edu. My work phone number is 508-830-5052.
Outstanding. Allen, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for investing your time again with me.
Jay, truly enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day. You do great work.
Thank you, Allen. You're too kind. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Today's guest is a distinguished leader in maritime engineering and education whose career blends deep technical expertise with real-world operational experience. He holds a BS from the State University of New York Maritime College, as well as both an MS and PhD from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, credentials that reflect his commitment to advancing the field through scholarship, innovation, and hands-on application. A licensed second assistant engineer for steam and motor vessels of unlimited horsepower, he brings extensive professional experience to his work in the classroom and beyond. Today, he serves as a commander and professor of engineering at Massachusetts Maritime Academy, where he plays a pivotal role in shaping the next generation of maritime engineers and leaders. John J. Bausch, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jay. Very good. Thank you.
It's your accomplishments. Thank you. Thanks for taking your time and coming on the show with us, John. Really appreciate that.
Well, I'm happy to help out. It's a critical area for the United States of America. It really is.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
And this whole series, as you know, is about really bringing engineering and facilities to the forefront. And this in particular, building future facility rock stars. As you know, the show has an episode where the cadets get interviewed. I was privileged to interview the cadets, and now leadership and faculty like yourself, and then right on to the graduates and what they're doing today. So
Absolutely. Right.
So I'll start with why did you choose to come to MMA as a professor and a leader? What drew you to the school?
Well, Mass Maritime, very unique. And I guess a little of my background. When I graduated in my time, in addition to getting your Coast Guard license so that you could ship on ships, and a lot of people go to a maritime college because it's a unique way to get out on ships and see the world. The money is really good. But we also, at these maritime academies, you get a full bachelor's degree. A little plug for New York Maritime. We were the first ABET accredited program in engineering. So I knew I had actually looked at graduate school a little at the time, but I knew I wanted to ship. And just another thing for Mass Maritime, we recently became accredited. So we are also fully accredited now. So your bachelor's degree counts for an awful lot. So in addition to my license and a bachelor's degree in engineering, I also, in those days, we were getting a naval commission in Navy Reserve as well. And so you had to either do weekend warrior stuff or you could ship out on your license. But I went to a maritime college because I have a great love of being on the water, and I really wanted to ship. I'm a sailor, with wind and all that. So it was very important to me. But without that engineering degree, and the ABET was an important part of it, I never would have gotten into graduate school. So when I talk to a lot of the cadets at Mass Maritime, I'm kind of on the tail end of my career now, as you can see. A lot of them are going to this very unique place because they get a lot more than just the degree, right? They get an awful lot of training and a lot of what we call hands-on skills as well. And they enjoy the same things I enjoyed when I was a cadet, right? But I also mentioned that I never would have gotten into graduate school if I didn't have that ABET accredited engineering degree. And, I always say I'm going from very hands-on Merchant Marine Academy to MIT's on the other side, and they're way apart in the field of engineering. But my training as an engineer on ships and also my bachelor's degree from the Maritime Academy made me a much better graduate student than most of the graduate students I'd worked with that were right out of graduate school. And I got a lot of experience. So that helped me a lot along in the early parts of my career. I have worked with a lot of industries, a lot of work on developing small scale automation, but also working with Pratt and Whitney and Gillette and some of these bigger companies. And I again, at this point in my career, getting back to Mass Maritime gives me a chance to, relate all that to the cadets that are coming out and kind of invest in the next generation of American engineers. Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. That's a great story. Great journey right there. So from the day to day, I know you work with people like Dr. Ashraf and others.
Ashraf, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. And he has wonderful things to say about you, of course, as well. So what is your day-to-day, you kind of walk us through, or day-to-day, week-to-week at the school, John, your contribution?
Certainly. Well, most, we are part of a union, so we have, but, and I am, a senior faculty, so I get a little bit more on that. But I primarily, when they hired me, my license had expired. So it turns out, in the early days, once you got what they call a Z card, you could ship out forever. But the Coast Guard now, highly regulated, right? We have all these extra classes in lifeboat and training, firefighting, medical, so many certificates you need. So again, at the tail end of my career, when I was thinking about getting back to this, I did have 2 children in private school up here in Worcester. And my wife was not thrilled because the money in industry is significantly higher than faculty salaries. But I also knew that I was going to be doing this and I'm in my 20th year right now, right? So I knew it was going to be the tail end of my career. So in any event, we met at day to day. most faculty members, right, I had to get my license renewed. So I'll typically teach most of the upper level classes. They hired me specifically to teach electronics. They had a hole in the program at that point in time. And because of my MIT, so a little bit more about my MIT background. When I left the Merchant Marine, again, I had a good marine engineering license. And I actually got accepted to the Naval Architecture program at MIT. And I'm a sailor. So I thought, oh, great, I'm going to design sailboats, right? But it turns out they were very computer fluid modeling. It's all about the America's Cups boats and better efficiency out of the sails. And they were much more tied to their computers and doing that kind of modeling. Whereas my experience in the Merchant Marine was, again, with real equipment, right? Moving stuff, things that work, So I think much more exciting. So when I looked at going for majors, I actually went into mechanical engineering, and it was in the early days of robotics and CNC machine tools. So I already knew the machine tool parts, and most robots are really just DC motors, right, with a high-end computer system. So a lot of the computer work there for machine control. So when they hired me at Mass Maritime, it was to plug that hole in electronics. And I did about half the classes still on analog circuit type systems, but the other half was on digital, right? Because I knew at the time, right, that these guys needed a lot more work in computer and PLCs and the types of stuff now that I'm doing with Ashraf in the operational controls lab, right? And I'm sure in his interview, they talk a lot about the Festo equipment and all the new equipment we have in the laboratory on campus. So most ships now are highly automated, and then the students they get very good hands-on skills, especially in the early parts, but in my upper level classes, they're getting a lot more of the programming and the controls philosophy, right, in terms of how we integrate these computers with real machinery. So that my day is kind of split between doing these upper level classes in PID control systems with computers, PLCs, the Festo equipment, but then I also run a lot of the laboratories that do the hands-on stuff in there. So it's split about 50-50 in terms of my time, and that works pretty well for me. Yeah.
Outstanding. Yeah, that's a great distinction between the MIT more computer driven and, Mass Maritime more like really what I'm hearing is the hands-on application, which is a consistent theme. That's basically what you're saying, right, John?
Oh, absolutely. Because you need to there was, even in the electrical engineering department at MIT, they were split between the software guys and the hardware guys. But the hardware guys, it was all about making the chips and making them more, higher throughput, higher processing, more bits. But the interface to the machinery and making the machinery move, right, is really what's more exciting, I think. And that's where the work gets done, right, in the real world, right? You have to move mass, right? Yeah.
Yes. So all that under consideration here, how would you see Mass Maritime Academy really distinct from other higher ed institutions, right? For the cadets' experience and their journey.
And that's why I appreciate you're doing this presentation, because back to my Merchant Marine. So I give them a lot of sea stories while I'm in class. And I do try, I know most of them are there because they're sacrificing the college life at UMass Amherst and all this, and they have to wear a uniform. They have to get up in the morning and make sure their bed is made and all these sacrifices, right? But they get the work skills that really pay off in industry, and industry has been eating them up right when they graduate. So that part of the education is a lot of what I'll do in class, but I do plant the seeds that most of them, like most of the guys I went to school with, they would do the Merchant Marine for maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe 6, and then they meet the woman they want to settle down with, right, and have a family, and it becomes a little more difficult. So almost all of my buddies that were engineers went in, basically became facilities engineers when they left the Merchant Marine, right? In power industries, right, and all kinds of stuff, and have done really well, right? Again, that's a great place to start, right, to build a career. So I spent a lot of time on career. I'm just planting seeds, right, to let them know that they have lots of opportunity, and they need motivation we have a competitive program. A lot of people don't expect that. I don't want to. I know you do, but I can give you a real anecdote on this because oh God, he would kill me for this. But my son is a class of 16 graduate of Mass Maritime. and had gone up here in Worcester to a very good private school. So he had a very good basic education. I think I gotta thank his girlfriend at the time, because she was going to a college very close to Mass Maritime. So that's one of the reasons he chose Mass Maritime. But he was surprised at how challenging the engineering program was when he got down there. So we really do have again, hands-on skills, very good, but we are ABET
Sure.
accredited, and they pick up a lot of the engineering along the way. Yeah.
It's a good way to relate the story.
No,
Like that's
and
real
my
right
son
there.
will kill me if he hears that, but he is, again, you're out there, and any student, he is so happy that he went to Mass Maritime. He's doing extremely well right now. Yeah.
Hey, rock stars, if you're tuning into the podcast and are feeling overwhelmed by all the maintenance demands at your facility, don't stress. We've got you covered. Our sponsor, Coludis, is your go-to partner to help you tackle all those demands and get them done right, on time, and with top-notch quality. From project planning to execution, Coludis is there to make hard work easy. Visit coludis.com today to get started. And that's really kind of close out here. That's what you just bridged it right now. He's doing very well, and he got a great education. And is there anything more you'd like to share or shed light on in terms of uniqueness about the school and what it is? Like you mentioned, industry, like they're receiving highly qualified
they
people.
are. Well, for me as a faculty member, part of the reason we're in Worcester is I had been teaching at WPI and my wife for many years. And WPI, like a lot of the schools, there's a lot of changes going on in education right now, and they're not all good. And I have had more student problems, right, where people have expectations at WPI. The cadets at Mass Maritime are all gung ho, and they all have a sense of purpose, and they know why they're there. And they're all right. So here's another thing. I like a quote. They're not going to college to find themselves. If you don't know what you're doing at Mass Maritime, you're at the wrong school, right? They're not finding themselves. They know why they're there. So they all have a real good sense of humor, and I enjoy the interaction with the students, right? It's the best part of my day when all is said and done. Yeah.
Outstanding. John, that's awesome. If people wanted to reach out and ask you more about any aspect of everything you just shared, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Through email. I'm in the book at Mass Maritime, right? Jay Bausch at maritime.edu, one J for that one. Yeah. And and I'm happy. Again, I write a lot, just anybody that's listening, I write a lot of graduate school recommendation letters. And actually just last year, this is a good story, Jay. I read a lot about industries. I read a lot, and I've been following nuclear. I'm very happy with what's going on in nuclear in the United States. I actually got an offer from Knowles Atomic Power Plant in 1979, and I thought, wow, I really got to get my foot in the door on nuclear. And just after that, we had 3 Mile Island, and the nuclear industry took a nosedive. So I had a student in the ESC program named Josh Souza. I wrote him a graduate school recommendation. He'd been working at Electric Boat, which, they make nuclear powered submarines there. He ended up getting a really good job with Commonwealth Fusion Systems. And, fusion is the way of the future here. And he says it's going to work. So he actually got invited in to talk to all my classes last spring. And, it's a good example. He ended up going to MIT, the graduate program, got into Commonwealth Fusion Systems, and again, doing very well. Another
excellent example. Excellent. Awesome. John, thanks for investing your time with us. It's absolutely pleasure every time we talk.
All right. Thank you, Jay. All right.
Thank you. Today's guest brings a strong blend of academic leadership, advanced facilities expertise, and hands-on engineering experience. With a doctorate of education from Plymouth State University and both a master's in facilities management and a bachelor's in marine engineering from Massachusetts Maritime Academy, she bridges deep technical knowledge with a passion for developing the next generation of facility leaders. A licensed second assistant engineer for steam vessels of unlimited horsepower and third assistant engineer for motor and gas turbine, she also holds a Massachusetts third-class stationary engineer license. In the classroom, she guides students through one of the program's most important milestones as the advisor for FM-5180 Capstone, helping students apply real-world thinking to complex facility challenges. Associate Professor Department Chair for Marine Engineering Graduate Education, Katie McClellan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jay.
Of course. Thank you for being here and investing your time with us, Katie.
Absolutely.
Much appreciated. I'll tell you, every time I read through I've read through your well, let's call it your intro, but really your resume a few times. Very impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you.
So given all of those experiences that you have had, what's been your biggest lesson learned so far?
The biggest lesson I've learned so far, and I try to instill this on the students here too, is it's not what you know, but who you know that gets you in the door than what you know after. Building your network is so big that it's critical for students and myself to build my network even more and more. And I try to do that with bringing students to plant tours in other places so that they can actually start building that network and being able to call someone when they have a problem.
I couldn't agree more. If I could let's expand on that for a second, because this is a very important topic. Can you give any examples of how, say, a cadet, right? Because that's what we're talking about here. How could a cadet actually go and expand their network? What would they do?
Start by reaching out to faculty here first, right? Because we have a big network. And then being able to go and join different professional organizations. That's one of the biggest things I've seen is getting in as a student, being able to start going to these events really helps them being able to learn how to talk to people in a big setting, right? Because, it's a little scary for students to be able to go into an event and be like, how do I introduce myself? What's that, 1 minute little spiel I have to do? But starting as a student, anyone wants to talk to a student. So that gets them that warm up, being able to actually communicate with everyone. And then that builds your network, right? Oh, hey, you're a Mass Maritime cadet. Oh, this is a great opportunity for you. And then from there, it just opens up all these doors for them.
Great advice. Very, very good advice. And I've had the pleasure, as you know, to interview several cadets already and meet them when I was on campus. And we met them at the ISPE show at Gillette, which was really special. So great group of kids there. I shouldn't say kids, they're adults, right? So
they are. And it also helps with their co-ops, right? Being able
Sure.
to have that network and get into something that they're actually passionate about.
Definitely. So since this is our MMA series, my question for you is, what drew you back to Mass Maritime Academy to be a leader and a faculty member and a mentor for these cadets?
So I've always had a passion for teaching. And when I was in high school, way back when, it was like, do I go to Mass Maritime or do I become a teacher? And I've been able to blend both of those together. So I graduated here in 2008, marine engineering, and came back in 2009 as a lab tech and worked my way up into faculty. Along that path, did my master's and then did my doctoral degree. And, being able to mold students is unbelievable, and being able to see them succeed further down the line really is a satisfying job. And I'm so happy that I've been able to do both of those.
I love that. I'm going to ask you again for an example, because that's like to mold a student, to see them succeed. Can you give not names, of course, but any examples of where you actually saw that happen?
I've seen some of these students come in as freshmen because I've been able to teach the gamut of courses. So I see them come in as a freshman, brand new, going, what did I just get myself into? And, that's a perfect time frame to be able to start helping mentor them. Like, this is what this career is. And watching them go through all 4 years here, see them get that experience and build that self-confidence. And then, because I also teach for the master's program, sometimes I get them again as a master's student, which is awesome. But that whole network connection, because I bring students to plant tours and stuff, when they become that senior plant operator, they reach back out and are like, hey, you know what you did for me? I want to do that again. So now I get to bring these students to some of these great students that I used to have that are now plant managers. And it's been so great to see. They're in such great roles now, and now they know how to give back to the academy, which is wonderful.
It is wonderful. It's really good, important work that you and the whole faculty are doing. And we already aired the show with the cadets, but I'll just reshare this. So many of them echoed that they came in as this shy kid, right? And they didn't want to speak, and they didn't want anything to do with leadership. And here they are, either a junior or a senior, and they're on a podcast and they're speaking confidently and clearly, and they're in leadership roles now. And that's a direct testament to the individual and the university, right? The academy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that whole, leadership university really plays into what we do here, and being able to watch, first you have to figure out how to learn to lead, and then being able to lead is
Hmm.
that key component for these students.
Great words. So I know we're already touching on some of the reasons, but what are some of the reasons you feel MMA really stands apart from other universities, other academies and colleges? Like, what are those things about it?
So that whole learn, do, lead, right? That's our motto here. And our students being able to actually get their hands dirty working in that environment is key for our student success. The other part of it is, yeah, we have that uniform, and it helps students be able to show up on time. So for our students, they can show up on time. They've had that hands-on experience, and they've had that leadership experience. And that's really what sets our students apart from other students at other colleges or universities. The other part is we do co-ops, and our students actually get to get out there in industry and showcase themselves, and they start building that confidence, and you start seeing that change from sophomore year to junior year to senior year, and that change is unbelievable to watch because you're basically molding that student and watching them become adults. Yes, they're adults when they come here, but they're really adults entering into a workforce that you're proud to see them get into.
Mm.
And because we're a small school, you also get that relationship with students more than you would if you're teaching 1,000 students in a lecture hall. You actually
Mhm.
get to know them personally, which I think also sets our students apart, is because they do have that relationship with their faculty here that, hey, that student's really great. Let me call my friend over here and be able to help them get in the door somewhere. So I think that's what really sets our students apart from other universities.
That's fantastic. You mentioned co-ops a couple of times. Can you give us, I don't know, what some examples of a co-op would look like? The coolest ones, the weirdest ones, the most effective ones?
Um, Really the effective ones is where the co-op leaders, right, whoever they're working for, really wants to take them under the wing and help mentor them. But our students are all over the place. We have students that go into life science. We have students that are working on their license to operate in Massachusetts. So they're in power plants. We have students that want to be salespeople. So they actually go into HVAC systems and being able to sell them, or filters. We have students that go work for towns because we know that every town needs a facilities director. So,
Mhm.
they start getting that little taste. We have students that go to other universities because, again, every university needs a facilities director.
Mhm.
These are all really cool places that these students get to go to. I forgot hospitals too. They go into hospitals. So, yeah, any time that our student gets to get out there and work one on one with someone in industry is really beneficial to them.
What an array of industries and roles, right? That's very diverse, actually. And when we air the episode with the graduates, everyone will see that that's the case in real life, if you will, too, right? After they graduate. So
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even our facility students still go work in the oil industry on rigs. They're rig managers. They didn't have the Coast Guard license, but they're still doing that same type of task too.
I talked to a couple of the cadets, and they were just steadfast. I'm going into shipping. That's what I'm going to be doing, and they were crystal clear about that. It's admirable. So. What advice would you give, Katie, to say a high school senior who's not decided yet, not sure where they want to go? Like, what advice would you give about Massachusetts Maritime Academy to them and the why behind them wanting to come here?
Be open to learning, right? Be open to watching yourself mold into someone new that you're going to be proud of. That's what we do, right? We build that network, we build that confidence, that self-esteem that a lot of young 18-year-olds are looking for. Don't be scared because of, that we wear uniforms. That's actually going to help you in the long run.
Mm.
I would also say focus on math. Being an engineer, you do need those math skills. And if you're struggling with it, be aware that we have a lot of resources here on this campus, which is what's really great about our campus being small. We all the faculty have office hours. Our ABS has tutoring, and we have all these available for all of our students that any 18-year-old coming out of high school or even someone that's looking to make a change in career. It's a great opportunity to be able to become part of something special at this academy.
Great advice. Great advice. And not to mention, just the location itself is absolutely gorgeous. Nice place to go to school.
You get a water view everywhere. Yeah, we're like On the Cape, you have to pay a lot of money for that, but here you get it every morning and get to look up and say, "Oh, what's going through the canal today?"
Not to mention a gorgeous ship right there at the pier.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Tell us a little more about your role, Katie. Like, just maybe elaborate a bit more on the details of your day-to-day at the school.
So being the marine engineering department chair doesn't single me just to marine engineering. I have my hand in all 3 engineering majors that we have. My day-to-day is still teaching. I still get to be in the lecture, which is great because I really enjoy being in that classroom with the students and being able to mentor them and guide them. But the other part of it is to be here for any student that needs help, whether I have them in class or not. And I always have an open door policy. I'm also here to support the other faculty. Being the department chair, I work with them to make sure that they're succeeding in their roles and being able to get that professional development that they need, or answering any questions they have dealing around student and how they're performing, or if a student has come to them with some challenges, sometimes I just say, direct them right to my office. And so that's my day to day is I'm usually here all day. I get here at 7 o'clock in the morning and usually don't leave until the evening just so that I'm available for either faculty or students.
That's fantastic. You sound like you're the, if I could say it this way, kind of the connective tissue of, the department, the cadets, and good for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, that's an excellent overview of the school, of you, of the journey. Can you tell us a little bit about Katie when she's not there from 7 to the evening, and like what's life like?
I have a lot of other jobs because I have to pay back that doctoral degree that I got. But no, I have a passion for being on the beach and on the water. And I'm lucky enough to be able to live in Chatham on the Cape, which is great because I get that world. I also am passionate about Rhodesian Ridgebacks. And this is my 4th Rhodesian Ridgeback I had. So, it's great to be able to take her out on hikes on the beach. She loves running on the beach or running in the snow. So that's the other passion. I get to go up to New Hampshire and work at a ski resort in the off time. And I'm also assistant harbor master in the summer. So the nice thing is that they're all close connected and my dog can join me for those.
That's fantastic. Where are you harbor master? In Chatham?
Yep.
How do you deal with the shifting sands of that waterway?
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, it's a challenge. And that's why we have shallow boats so that we can get different places. And yes, the sand shifts every single day there. And it's always trying to get those buoys on markers and then try to educate the other boaters on, hey, don't go that way today. Or it's a negative tide, don't go that way. And then if they run aground, trying to get someone there to try to help them out. But yeah, it's fun. It keeps you young, right? Trying to be able to guess where you need to go with the boat.
Like, it's a great mindset. I love that. If people wanted to reach out, and I'm sure they would, Katie, what's the best way for either cadets or someone outside the school or in the professional world that might want to have, might want a little more explanation on what you've shared today?
Yeah, absolutely. So my email is available on the Mass Maritime website, but it's kmcclellan@maritime.edu. I check my email continuously. As I tell my students, if anyone wants to email me, I'll check between 7 a.m. and 11:30 p.m. So that's the best way to be able to reach me. If not, come down to campus and say hi.
Awesome. And I will take you up on that. I know you were kind enough to come to our event. It was great to meet you in person there, and I'll be down at the school again very soon.
Sounds good. I can't wait.
Thank you so much for being on the show with us today, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jay, for having me.
That wraps up our 3rd episode in the Facility Rockstars Massachusetts Maritime Academy series. Today's conversation gave us a behind-the-scenes look at the faculty and leaders who help turn potential into performance, reinforcing the Academy's learn, do, lead philosophy and its relentless focus on preparing cadets for real-world responsibility from day one. And we're not done yet. Next week, we'll close out this special series with our final episode featuring Massachusetts Maritime Academy graduates who are now out in the field, putting everything you've heard throughout this series into action and showing where this journey can lead. See you next time. It's a wrap. Another episode of Facility Rockstars is in the books. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Colutus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Until next time, facilitate and rock on.